And then just what I know about sort of the early on beginning of sexual predating, that I think sort of changed over time. Because one thing that we learned is that early on, he didn't share these girls that he was preying on. And then there becomes questions about he shared some, he didn't share others. But I think the sex trafficking and the predator behaviors, I argue, served more of a broad business interest at first. But then I questioned if he was getting some type of reward out of this, which was beyond the money. And the idea that these are very important people, very wealthy people, and now I have control over them because I know what they did at my house. So I wonder if there was a little bit of a psychological payoff that was beyond, because this guy had so much money. He didn't, at first when I went through a lot of this stuff, I started wondering, was he using his sex trafficking as a tool and kind of an extortion business? And then you wonder, was he working for the federal government? Was he a government asset? The stuff that's coming out now with Prince Andrew, who's giving Epstein secret documents from their government. Was Epstein, it's almost like, was he a spy? But he didn't need the money. So why would he be doing these things, exposing it himself when he didn't even need the money? That's what's fascinating to me.
So there's this question of his motive. To be a rich guy, if that's the motive, he's already achieved that very quickly. So let's refine that. First, I'd like to understand what you're saying about the business model progression. It sounds like you're saying, correct me if I'm wrong, at first he was building a financial services business and he was collecting people to sort of strengthen his profile and his ability to connect with high value, high wealth, high net worth individuals. And he also was personally interested in the prostitution, the pedophilia, that sort of thing. And then it evolved and it became more about extorting people.
Well, extorting people would be sort of the financial payoff, but I really wonder about the power dynamic. Just knowing, he doesn't need the money, but just knowing he knows things about these people. There are rumors and there were rumors going back all the way back into 2008 that he had hidden cameras and that he had video of some of these important people in compromising positions. But again, if you're at the point where you don't need the money, is the payoff psychological where you have control and power over these people? Because again, you have more money than you need.
So perhaps at first being around high net worth individuals for the sake of financial services, later being around high net worth individuals for the sake of simply being able to blackmail them, having the sense of control over these people, or even just
for sure
feeling that you're one up on them, that you know something about them and that maybe they owe you.
Right. For sure. I mean, that power dynamic is pretty powerful for people. When you have enough money to buy anything you want, when you have a system set up where you could exercise whatever sexual proclivities you have or appetites or any of that kind of stuff. Now what do you want? Is that control and that power over these really important wealthy people? Is that what sort of, is that the reward or the payoff that you feel?
So from a psychological perspective, how do you assess that question?
Boy, well, it's a complicated question, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if any information has come out where he's actually said to people, hey, I know some things about you. I don't know if any of that's come out yet. I haven't heard anything about that. But, trying to assess if that's really the motive. I mean, the only way to really know is to ask him, but can't do that, right?
To go even deeper on these ideas, you can watch my full episode using the link in the description or the box on the screen.